Hey there, I'm David.
And I'm Angelique.
And we are Adventures on Deck. And today we're talking all things cruising and COVID. Let's go. All right, guys, so let's just start by getting this out of the way. We're not here to try to persuade you to get a vaccine. We're not getting into that whole debate there. Everyone obviously is free to make their own decisions. We just want to get into, if you are going to cruise while these COVID protocols are in place, what to expect and what's required.
Yeah, and we felt that this was definitely a video that would help those who have questions about what it's really like or what the requirements are. And so we're doing the best we can with the information available at this time.
Right.
But that is ever changing. So we urge people to go to the websites, check it out, look for yourselves. But definitely, if you feel that this video is something that interests you or that could be helpful, please like and subscribe. It helps us out a lot on our channel.
And it's free.
It's free.
It's free.
We're growing, but we would like to be able to bring you content and bring you videos that are going to help make your vacations and your experiences memorable, and just take some of the questions and the headache out of it.
Yeah, so just to start, again, these protocols are changing very, very rapidly. So by the time this video comes out, there could be new things that are changing. So always, always, always make sure you're staying informed on the latest protocols. The best place to get that information is from your cruise line's website. All that stuff is listed there. Make sure you're checking that on a regular basis because these protocols are changing very, very rapidly. So just keep that in mind. But we're going to go into starting with vaccines. We'll talk about the vaccines first.
And the three cruise lines, because we are US based, that we're working with or that we have looked at and kind of compared are Carnival, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian.
Yeah. So as far as vaccines are concerned, it's pretty simple. For pretty much every cruise line, you need to be vaccinated. That's really what it comes down to. There are some exceptions on Carnival, for example, where they will give a very small amount of exceptions to people who are not vaccinated. It's really mainly just for children. But again, keep in mind, children are now eligible for the vaccine, children that are 5 and older. So, who knows what's going to happen as far as that's concerned. But right now, you can get an exception on Carnival. But outside of that, you're going to need to have a vaccine if you want to cruise out of the U.S. right now.
Yeah, Norwegian is the one that is the complete opposite end of that. There are no exceptions whatsoever. 100% vaccinated. That is their standing. Like that's where they're sailing right now.
Right.
Royal Caribbean's requirement is 12 and up, but again, that could be changing. So just constantly check your website for your cruise line as far as what's the most up-to-date requirement.
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that Royal Caribbean requirement goes to 5 now, that children are 5 and up can get a vaccine. So again, that's not what the requirement is now. It is 12 and up as of right now, but keep in mind that very easily could change fairly soon. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then testing protocols. Yeah. So all of the cruise lines have some kind of variation of testing required before you get on the ship, no matter whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. Unvaccinated, you'll have to take additional tests. Usually there's a test at the cruise port or something like that if you're unvaccinated. So again, look into those requirements for your specific cruise line, but just know that you will have to take some kind of test. Most of them are requiring a test about 2 days before you sail. So just, again, keep that in mind. Tests that are accepted, check with your cruise line. There's a lot of variations on what's accepted and things like that. Make sure you're looking into that. They are accepting the at-home test. I believe I know Royal is, I know Carnival is, I believe Norwegian is as well.
Norwegian's got theirs is kind of funny because up until January, they're doing the testing themselves. And then starting in the middle of January, they're
changing to the 2 days before.
Right.
So again, check with your cruise line because these all do vary, but there will be some kind of testing requirements either at the port or before you get on a couple days before the ship sails. Carnival and Royal are accepting the at-home test, but only the proctored one. So where you have to have someone watching you as you do the testing. So make sure that you're going to get the right test. You can get those. I know Royal has them on their website that you can go to, and they have the link there that you can go and find those tests. So
Yeah.
again, make sure you're getting a proctored test if you're going to do the at-home test.
Now, another popular question that we've gotten from people who know us, who know that we've cruised during, the restart and COVID, is masks. What is it like with masks? What are the requirements? So, Norwegian, here's another huge difference. Norwegian, because they are requiring 100% vaccinated guests, 100% vaccinated crew, they actually have no mask requirements on their ships. Now, you may have to have a mask when you're getting off the ship traveling to a local port, but there's no masks there. That changes, for example, with like Carnival, where you have to have your mask indoors when you're around people, when you're in like some of the venues.
In certain places, the elevators, the theaters, casino, yeah, stuff like that. You have to have your mask in certain areas. The buffet area, it's required there.
But at the same time, if you're distanced from, like if you're walking through the hallway by yourself, there's no one else around, they're obviously a lot more lax about that part of it, because it's really just meant for areas where you're going to be around other people, because you don't have a way of identifying who's vaccinated or not vaccinated. It's just a safety measure.
Right. And also that only applies for, again, indoor venues in certain places. So it doesn't apply to outdoor spaces. So like the Lido deck, for example, you can be completely outside next to people, whatever you want to do, with no mask.
Sitting and eating, drinking at the bar. All of that's understandable. But Royal has a little bit of a different scenario with their masks.
Yeah, so with Royal, there are certain places that vaccinated people can go, and in those places you don't have to have a mask because it's going to be vaccinated people only. So there's some different requirements for what you can and cannot do with or without a mask for Royal. So again, check with your cruise line, make sure that you look into what the masking requirements are, if that's a big deal breaker for you. I know it is for some people. If they have to wear a mask, like you may want to try to go towards Norwegian because they aren't requiring those masks there. If you're okay with the mask, then obviously any of the three are just fine. If you prefer that more people wear a mask, then you'd obviously want to steer towards Carnival or Royal Caribbean. Again, just up to your preference and what you want to deal with on your cruise.
Yeah. Something else that we've seen in looking at the protocols, though, have been, the discussions about exemptions. So Carnival is sailing with over 95% vaccinated guests, which means that there are some exemptions that they're able to allow. A lot of those they're saving for the younger children who are traveling, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds who can't get vaccinated, but they're traveling with mom and dad. So you have the option, if you can get the exemption, to cruise, but the one thing that's important to keep in mind is that does limit what you're able to do once you get to port. So Carnival has what's called a bubble excursion, those are meant for people who are unvaccinated but would like to get off the ship at port. If you are unvaccinated and you're getting to Cozumel or Costa Maya or some of these other ports, any public port, then you aren't able to get off the ship if you're unvaccinated.
Unless you're going on one of those bubble excursions. So you can't just get off the ship and explore and walk around the port. You can't book your own excursion. Like we like to go to Mr. Sancho's, for example, in Cozumel, things like that. You can't do things like that. You do have to book a Carnival excursion and only the bubble excursions, and there's only a couple of them.
And also their kids clubs like Circle C are only open for vaccinated kids. So if you do get one of those excursions and you're expecting to go to one of those ports that you're familiar with and you've had a great time, you won't be able to get off the ship if you're one of the exemption letter guests. So, it's one of those things that you need to keep in mind. There still are going to be things that might hinder your experience. It's not going to be 100% what you're used to if you're traveling with someone who's unvaccinated. So keep that in mind. Look up those protocols. Different states are requiring travel insurance, proof of insurance before you board. There's doctor's notes, things like that. So it's very important that if you're wanting to be one of these exempted parties,
Right.
you have to go directly through the cruise line and stay up to date with those requirements.
Absolutely. So again, these protocols, the requirements, all this is changing very rapidly. So again, make sure that you are paying attention to your cruise line's website for your specific cruise out of your port on your ship, because these do vary by port, by country, by where you're going to. All of these things change what your protocols and requirements are. So make sure that you're double checking constantly what you're going to do if you are cruising anytime soon. With that said, the huge question is it worth it? Is it worth it to cruise with all of these requirements and all of the stress of having to deal with all of these protocols and what you have to do on board and where you're going to get your test done and all those kinds of things? Is it worth it? And the real answer is it's up to you.
Yeah.
It's really your choice, right? Do you feel like dealing with all of this in order to cruise? That's really a personal decision that each person has to make. For us, we've talked about this. We've cruised twice since the cruise restart. During the COVID protocols, we've been on 2 ships, and it's 150% worth it. It's absolutely worth it. We had such a great time on both of the cruises that we went on. We went on the Carnival Vista and we went on the Carnival Breeze, both out of Galveston. And it's absolutely worth every single headache, every single,
The anxiety of building up
Right.
before you get to the test, watching the pharmacy websites when you're going to be able to schedule. And I mean, with the August cruise, the drink package, and a grown-ups only cruise
Right, which
with
was
no
fun.
kids.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it.
But then the October cruise too, with
then,
2
right.
of the kids who were vaccinated.
Right.
That was a lot of fun as well, in a
Yeah.
different way, but that was also a ton of fun. So
Yeah.
we had a great time on both of those trips. So yes, for us, short answer, it's 100% worth it. We had a great time on both of those cruises.
Yeah, and I think just to get to, the is it worth it and what does it mean to you? If it's something, I know the past year and a half has been extremely difficult on a lot of us.
Yeah.
And there are some insane deals going on right now for cruising.
There are.
Inexpensive prices. You can get great rates if you're willing to cruise sooner rather than later.
Right.
So
Who's not ready for that?
right. So that's what we're saying. If it's something that the grandparents maybe can take the kids for a weekend, you get away for a 3 or a 4 day.
Do it.
It's definitely something that you're going to enjoy because you're back on a ship. If you've got that love of cruising that we do.
Or maybe you're not even back on the ship. You're on your first ship. We met a lot of people on our last
That's
2
true,
cruises
too.
that were on their very first trip. And yeah, this isn't the greatest situation to walk into your first cruise on, but you know what? It's absolutely worth it. And you're going to have an amazing, amazing time. You're used to wearing the mask in certain places anyway. We all have been doing it. We all have to go through these protocols, even on land. Doing it at sea really isn't a whole lot different. And it's, yes, would you rather do it without the mask? Of course. But is that going to dampen the amount of fun that you have? Absolutely not. It's completely worth it. You're going to have a lot of fun regardless. So get out there. Let's do it. Especially if we can get a good deal. Do it.
I know. It's really tough to not watch the sites every day.
It is. So, but we're out of time off for the year, so we can't go into anything else until next year. But if we had the time off, trust me, we'd be on a cruise ship right now. But with that said, drop a comment. Let us know. Have you cruised during COVID? Do you have any questions about it that we didn't answer here? If you did cruise, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? How was it for you? Let us know. We'd love to hear your feedback.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you around.
See you guys.